May 1981. The Reagan era was in its early stages. Moviegoers flocked to see Harrison Ford and Indiana Jones. Televisions across the country were tuned to Taxi and Hill Street Blues. And 27-year-old Robert Parrish and a rookie from Minnesota named Kevin McHale teamed with Larry Bird to capture the NBA title for the Boston Celtics, beating the Rockets in Houston. 200 miles north in Dallas, Texas, Larry Johnson was 12 years old. Throughout his high school years, he would watch the storied Celtics. While in Chesapeake, Virginia, Alonzo Mourning was only 11. As he grew, he became familiar with legendary Celtic mystique. 12 years later, Johnson and Mourning are teammates and have led the Charlotte Hornets to their first ever playoff appearance. They travel to the Boston Garden to face the Celtics in Game 1. Robert Parrish, now the oldest player in the NBA, and Kevin McHale don't subscribe to the notion that in basketball, as in life, the old will eventually give way to the young. And in Game 1, it was experience that prevailed. Down 1-0, these young Hornets have seen the Celtics' playoff success firsthand. Now, can the exuberance of youth overcome the NBA's grand old men in Game 2?
This is the NBA on NBC, the 1993 NBA playoffs. Today, it's the Charlotte Hornets versus the Boston Celtics.
We welcome you to the Boston Garden for Game 2 of this best-of-5 first-round playoff series between the Hornets and the Boston Celtics. Hi, everybody. I'm Marv Albert, along with the czar of the telestrator, Mike Fratello. And as reported earlier on Showtime, Reggie Lewis will be sitting it out this afternoon. Thursday night, Game 1, only 5.5 minutes into the ball game. The Celtics captain and the leading scorer staggered and fell. He passed out, spent the past 24 hours in the hospital. He is out today and is called day to day. So D. Brown will be in the starting lineup, making the transition from his usual bench role as of late. In fact, Mike, back in Game 1, the Celtic bench really gave an enormous lift to the ball club and helped turn the game around.
Marvin, Game 1, that veteran Celtic bench crushed the Charlotte Hornets bench, outscoring them 53-14. The three main guys that got it done for the Celtics, X-Man, Kevin McHale, D. Brown, combining for 49 of the 53 points produced by the bench. So this afternoon, without Reggie Lewis, again, that bench will be called upon to produce big numbers.
Meanwhile, the Hornets feel that their all-star forward, Larry Johnson, must step it up if they are to even this series at one apiece. Johnson with only 16 points in the game the other night, only 6 in the second half. Xavier McDaniel in particular did a good job against Johnson, not allowing him to erupt.
Gets real deep. We need help. You know, the guy's only about 6'4", 6'5", but he's stronger than two bulls. So you need that help down low. And if we can get that help, I think we can be able to contain it.
Not to knock the Boston's post players, but I don't feel that one-on-one those guys can stop me in the post. And I think I need to, like Muggsy said, I'll have to be more vocal and be more aggressive about getting the basketball in situations that I like to get in and do something with it.
Larry Johnson is a very unselfish basketball player. In fact, at times, too unselfish. He tends to watch his teammates while they're doing well and takes himself out of the Hornets offense. Speaking with Muggsy Bogues a short while ago, he said, it's my job, having the ball in my hand, to get it to Larry Johnson early in this game this afternoon, to get him involved. It's Larry's job to score, and when he does that, the rest of his teammates will prosper. So look for Larry Johnson early.
And as always, Ahmad Rashad has checked out the mood in both locker rooms. Let's go over to Ahmad.
All right, thanks, Marv. I spoke with Alonzo Mourning. He said the first game they felt like they learned a lesson, and that lesson was that the intensity level has to continue throughout the game. Now, I talked to the Celtics, and it's amazing what playoffs do to you. Kevin McHale told me that he's been feeling bad the entire season. All of a sudden now today, because it is playoff time, he's felt the best he's felt the entire season. Robert Parrish, I asked Robert how he planned on playing Alonzo Mourning, and he said that he planned on running him. And Marv, he said it in all seriousness.
All right, Ahmad, so the Charlotte Hornets are hoping to tie this series at 1 against the veteran Celtics. The city of Charlotte will be rooting them on. This was seen this past Wednesday. Crowd of 6,000 turning out of the South Park Mall in Charlotte for a collegiate-style Hornet pep rally. Crowd close to 15,000 at the Boston Garden, the 582nd consecutive sellout. A look at the starting lineups. First for the Hornets, Kendall Gill and Muggsy Bogues. In the backcourt, Larry Johnson and Johnny Newman on the front line, along with their outstanding rookie center, Alonzo Mourning. Alan Bristow, very intense coach. He has installed the passing game in Charlotte, which has proven to be the right system for the Hornets, who have had a superb season, record of 44-38, and they face the combination of Sherman Douglas and D. Brown in the backcourt. Brown for the injured Reggie Lewis, Ala Abdelnaby, and Kevin Gamble are the starting forwards. There's Robert Parrish. He opens at center. And the coach of the Boston Celtics, Chris Ford, who told us at practice yesterday, this is always his fear when teams come out aggressively against the Celtics. He said they're on our heels. The Celtics end up, in turn, taking 20-foot jump shots. He feels also that the Celtics, except for Xavier McDaniel and at times Robert Parrish, have been on the timid side through the season.
One of the question marks all year has been the toughness of this Celtics team. That's why Xavier McDaniel was such an important addition. This is a different time of year, though. This is the playoffs.
It'll be Mourning and Parrish. The officials, Jess Kersey, Ron Garrison, and Don Baden.
We'll see if Boston goes to the high pick and roll early in the basketball game. It was a problem for the Celtics, for the Hornets to defend in game number 1.
Yes, the feeling is they were not able to make the adjustments. Brown with the rebound. D. Brown, who sparked the Celtics Thursday night with a series of blocked shots, getting Boston off to the 2-0 lead.
You're exactly right as far as it was his defense that happened to turn game 1 around. 2 great blocks by D. Brown got the Celtics ignited.
Johnny Newman tried the 3. Charlotte must hit from the outside because the Celtics will continue to double up on Larry Johnson. Here's Gamble with an open shot. And it's rebounded by Mourning. Muggsy Bogues, seeing the opening, leads Johnny Newman. Johnny Newman in his days as a New York Knick had a number of effective games against the Boston Celtics, a number of good ones against a fellow by the name of Larry Bird come playoff time.
And speaking with Johnny Newman prior to the game, he felt it was a matter of getting more shot attempts early in the game that would enable him to get himself off. He scored 5 in game 1.
Mourning got a piece of it, but Abdelnaby right back. Boston 4 and Charlotte 2.
Charlotte is still determined that they can wear the Celtics team down. They want to continue to push the basketball back, and the Celtics in turn will have to make a few adjustments to try and slow them down.
Nice pass, Gill setting up Newman, and Newman will go to the line.
A guy with a lot of energy in game 1 who started out here in game 2 with a lot of energy. D. Brown from the guard position comes back in to get an offensive rebound and a resulting easy score.
Foul committed by Robert Parrish. So Johnny Newman shooting a couple earlier this season. John set back by a broken hand. Originally a second-round draft pick of Cleveland. Spent 3 years with the Knicks. This is 3rd with the Hornets. Minute and a half gone by, and the game is tied at 4. Here's some pressure by Charlotte.
Same thing that the Hornets did in game 1. Extend their defense, put full court pressure, take time off the clock. What the Celtics are doing is trying to keep the ball out of Sherman Douglas's hands, bringing it up as much as possible because Tyrone Bogues just bothers you out there. Right now, with 9 seconds remaining, they're just getting in the half-court offense.
Shot clock now at 4. Here's Parrish to the hook. And rebounded by Mourning.
So the defense worked exactly like the Hornets wanted. Take time off the clock, hurry him into 1 shot.
Alley-oop for Johnson. Got the stick. Larry Johnson set up by Muggsy Bogues. Charlotte 6, Boston 4.
There are 2 sides of it. You can take the ball out of Sherman Douglas's hands. The problem is he's the guy that gets the Celtics in their half-court offense. So you try to put it in his hands, then he has to deal with Muggsy Bogues pressuring him.
Abdelnaby backing his way. here comes Kendall Gill. Johnson on the wing for Bowles. Mourning able to field it, but had it knocked away. Good play by Gamble.
You will see Alonzo Mourning running that middle lane down the center of the floor, and they will look for him the entire game.
Oh, D. Brown hits the corner jump, and the game is tied at 6. Celtics able to get back on the transition as Charlotte, every time down the floor, has pushed it quickly. Now Johnson out for Bowles. And Muggsy Bogues drills it for an 8-6 Hornet lead.
You mentioned early in the season, Alan Bristow basically had run passing game as 90%, 95% of their offense. But as the season came down to a close, he started to incorporate a few more set plays. That last basket, the result of basically an isolation for Larry Johnson, who, when double-teamed, made the right pass out.
Illegal defense called for the first time.
The Hornets' problem in game number 1 was not the fact that they didn't get a lot of good shots and enough scores. The problem was they could not stop the Celtics from scoring baskets once they got done running it back. So the effort today will be from the Hornets to play better half-court defense against the Celtics. And there's the steal as a result of the deflection by Newman.
Good look by Bull. Gill could not complete it. Back comes Brown. Boston now on the run. Brown for Douglas. Game tied at 8, and the Hornets right back down court, and a foul call. The basket will not count. Celtics stopping the break, and the foul was given. Foul committed by Brown.
Well, the valuable experience that D. Brown picked up this year while Chris Ford experimented with him as the point guard pays off there. He takes it to the last moment, makes the right decision.
And this game has opened with a burst. It's a very quick pace. Kendall Gill, who had a good one the other night, 30 points, season high, 12 for 24, and he's given the Hornets a 10-8 lead. Douglas being played by Bowles. Abdelnaby guarded by Johnson. Abdelnaby with a pretty spin move.
I like what Chris Ford is doing. They knew that Charlotte was going to try and get Larry Johnson involved offensively, so they're going at him immediately at the defensive end.
Alonzo Mourning. Mourning on the rebound. You heard the reaction from the crowd. They were looking for a charging foul. No call made. Hornets 12 and the Celtics 10. Again, Abdelnaby with the back end. Good box out by Mourning. Bogues for Mourning. Alonzo Mourning off to the good start, and Charlotte leads by 4. Now here's pressure by the Hornets.
The tempo right now is exactly like Charlotte would like it to be for the entire game. Score, get into your full court pressure, use up time against the Celtics. The problem with Alonzo Mourning is Robert Parrish today feels he must meet him earlier and then get him off that low block. That time he had no chance. It was transition that hurt him.
Parrish brushing off Mourning, and the foul was called before the shot attempt, so the basket does not count. 6:47 remaining, first quarter. Timeout is called. React to playing in the fabled garden on the parquet floor. We asked Alonzo Mourning, is he affected at all by that Celtic mystique?
And it doesn't bother me. We could play anywhere, and it doesn't bother me. I don't. That stuff only affects you unless you let it. And you get involved in all the hoopla and the leprechaun and the good, all that stuff, man. The media makes up all that stuff, and all that stuff is methodical. I don't get involved in that. I go out and play as hard as I can. You know, we can play on that anywhere, outside on the blacktop. You know, I'm still going to play as hard as I can. None of that stuff affects me.
Kevin Gamble with the funnel, and the Hornets now lead 14-12. Mike, I know in your days as coach of the Atlanta Hawks, you get involved with the leprechaun here at the Boston Garden, but obviously does not bother Alonzo Mourning.
Anytime you get 30 points, 11 rebounds, 2 block shots, I'm sure you're not worrying about the leprechauns in the building, but there have been a few players that have had a few nightmares in this building.
We're halfway through the first quarter. Again, it's Abdelnaby putting the move on. Parrish with the rebound. And the game is tied at 14.
Celtics shot almost 55% in game 1. They didn't have that many offensive rebound opportunities, only came up with 9.
Double dribble is called on Kendall Gill.
Let's go back a few moments ago, talk about fast break basketball. For Charlotte, you have Tyrone Bogues with the ball. They fill the 2 outside lanes. Larry Johnson takes the middle, but watch the last man trailing opposite for them, who happens to be the big guy, Alonzo Mourning, almost perfect running the lane.
Game is tied at 14 with 5.5 remaining in the first quarter. Pick and roll, but Abdullahi could not hit. Looked like Mourning got a piece of it. And it will be Charlotte ball.
In practice yesterday, they wanted Abdullahi to wind up shooting jumpers, not taking it to the basket. The rotation must come a little sooner. The excellent defensive play that time, a piece of the ball.
Kendall Gill. Charlotte by 2. Kendall Gill in his 3rd year out of Illinois. Went through a downswing earlier in the year, upset by trade speculation, upset about his diminished offensive emphasis, with Alonzo Mourning taking a lot of shots earlier in the season, but things have worked out, and Gill has been superb the past couple of months. Gill called for that foul. It is a non-shooting affair, and Gamble will throw in. But first, a substitution. Here's Del Curry replacing Johnny Newman. Del Curry had a very difficult time Thursday night in game 1. Only 3 for 12. Did not take good shots. Did not get effective screens. Hit only 1 of 10 in the game's first 46 minutes. And that on a goaltending call.
And that time, Sherman Douglas tried to thread the needle. The deflection out of bounds, off the hand, turnovers for the Celtics.
That's Curry with it, being guarded by Gamble. Johnson facing single coverage. Shot clock at 6. Gill for Johnson. And Parrish gets to it. Dee Brown trying to set up with the hesitation dribble. Gamble for 3. Charlotte possession.
It certainly would be nice if Kevin Gamble could get back to knocking some shots down, because they will be rotating him into that 2-guard position. They need someone from the perimeter to complement the inside game when they go to Parrish or McHale or McDaniel down low.
This the 5th year of existence for the Charlotte Hornets. Larry Johnson with a strong move. He thought he was fouled. Did not get the call. 18-14. The Hornets with the lead. Gamble now being guarded by Curry.
Larry Johnson wanted a call at the end of his last move. He thought this should be a foul. This type of move, you would get a call during the regular season, but when you jump into the defensive player and he goes straight up and down in the playoffs, it will be no call at all. So don't waste time complaining. Just run on back and play defense.
Crowd responding to the entrance of that man, Xavier McDaniel, who has emerged as a huge favorite here in his first season as a Boston Celtic. He's brought a lot of heart to this ball club and had a good one in game 1 on Thursday.
Spoke with Don Casey, the Celtics assistant coach, just prior to the game. He felt that Xavier McDaniel was such an important part of this Celtic team because of how he has the ability to step up during playoff time.
And a foul is called. The matchup is now Xavier McDaniel and Larry Johnson, and a kneeing foul was called on the X-Man. That will put Larry Johnson at the line.
In game 1, a few words were exchanged between Xavier McDaniel and Larry Johnson. Larry talking a little bit of trash, which he likes to do. X-Man, who will never back down from an opportunity to talk trash, wound up with a little nose-to-nose conversation.
Yes, the X-Man, one of the masters in that department, going back to his days with the Knicks and the Suns and the Sonics. Larry Johnson, a 77% free throw shooter, now has 6 points. Charlotte 20, the Celtics 16. Again, pressure, light pressure, as Kendall Gill stays with Dee Brown.
One of the reasons why you want to play good defense and not foul is when you foul the Hornets and put them on the free throw line, it gives them a chance to get into their extended defense and pressure the basketball.
Shot clock at 5. Gamble off balance. That's a second field goal, and the Celtics are down by 2. Head fake by Gill, stopped by Parrish. He challenged him again. Mourning on the recovery. On the back tap, Gill picks it up. And Gill not able to score.
Well, the Hornets have such live young bodies out there. You've got to keep your body on them to defensive rebound, not give them second shots.
Brown ties the game at 20. D. Brown in the starting lineup with Reggie Lewis sideline. Lewis sitting it out. He passed out during the game on Thursday. Spent the last 24 hours in the hospital, and it was decided to keep him out this afternoon. Here is the X-Man. Rebound, McDaniel. Rebound, McDaniel. And it's knocked out of bounds by Charlotte. Timeout called by the Hornets. 2:22 to go, first quarter. The game is tied at 20. Tied, and they have come a long way in this their 5th year of existence.
And slowly growing and getting better with some excellent draft picks, some excellent additions, some trades made to open up some room in the salary cap. And right now they have taken gigantic steps to being a power for a number of years in the Eastern Conference.
This is a team that made a 13-win progression from a record of 31 and 51 a year ago. With the shot clock running down, Sherman Douglas hits his second field goal, and Boston leads by 2.
There was the challenge to Sherman Douglas. We're going to back off you. We're going to make you make shots. He answered the challenge.
Mourning forced it, and here comes Douglas. D. Brown. Yes, D. Brown on fire. He's at 4 out of 5. Celtics lead 24-20. Kenny Gatison has come on for the first time, as has David Wingate. Here's Gatison, lost it, but a foul on Brown. Kenny Gatison the other night took a hard shot to the nose from Kevin McHale late second quarter. McHale was faking a shot, and Gatison, going for the fake, was pummeled. Robert Parrish will get a rest. Joe Klein checks in.
And now with Gill being the point guard running the show, it's a little different look for the Charlotte Hornets. They don't come back at you as quickly down the floor in transition. You don't have to worry as much about dribble penetration. He's more of a scorer off the jump shot.
Well, that has to feel good for Alan Briscoe and the Hornets. Del Curry finding the touch. And the Hornets are now within 2. That ends an 8-0 run by the Celtics.
Del Curry, one of the most explosive players coming off the bench in the league. A lot of teams have tried to trade for Del Curry. The Hornets refuse to give him up.
Yes, he has been in the midst of much trade speculation the past couple of years. Gill was fouled, hacked by Klein.
Let's go back to the original team that the Hornets had their first season. Some of the names you see: Kelly Tripucka, Robert Reed, Chapman up in Washington. The only 2 guys remaining are Bogsy and Chapman. What's the roster look like today? Just a few new faces there, as they have done a tremendous job in achieving 44 wins. Terrific draft picks. When you talk about Larry Johnson's, Kendall Gills, Alonzo Mournings, and some of the other additions they've made along the way to back up those players, they're on their way to a lot of successful seasons.
And one of those additions, Sidney Green, will come on to spell Alonzo Mourning. Mourning leads with 4 points and 5 rebounds. Yes, the Hornets at 44 and 38 during the regular season, earning 5th seed in the Eastern Conference, and they finished strong. They won their last 5. They won 9 of their last 12. Boston with the ball, 1-point lead, 40 seconds to go in this opening quarter. Gatison now guarding McDaniel, who lost it. Here comes Gill. He has Wingate ahead of the field. Douglas broke it up. Wingate with the recovery. And the pass from Gill thrown away.
It winds up being a big defensive play that time by Sherman Douglas. 2-on-1 situation. He's the one guy back. He gets the hand up for the deflection, and then the unforced turnover by Charlotte.
Chris Ford indicating hold for a final shot. Time winding down. in this first quarter, and Douglas lost it. Gill with the steal, and that was too strong for Gatison.
And you don't want to give the ball up that soon to Gatison. What's he going to do with it out there 22 feet from the basket? Take it deeper off the dribble, then make the decision after the defense commits.
Final seconds of the quarter. Douglas trying to penetrate. A series of errors down the stretch at both ends, and that's the end of the first quarter. Boston 5 turnovers in all. Charlotte with 4 after 1 at the Boston Garden. It's the Celtics by 1. D. Brown has had the hot hand. 4 out of 5 for 8 points. D. Brown in the starting lineup in the absence of Reggie Lewis. 1 quarter complete. Game 2 of this best of 5. The Celtics with a 1-point lead.
It's like the rest of us here sitting here as a fan. Let me ask you one thing. Does it surprise you how well that Robert Parrish has been able to play over the years?
I'm a little surprised, but he's taking care of himself. He does a lot of stretching. And I think that's what it takes today is go out, keep your body in shape in the off season, and when you might add a few years on your career.
You know what? Now, this is usually your time, and I know it's got to be tough. This is the first time you've been sitting here as a retired player watching these playoffs. Are you bored a little bit?
A little bit, but I know I can't play no more, so this is the enjoyment I get out of basketball now.
What about, have you ever considered maybe coaching?
Not really. Too much work.
Well, a question that's probably more important, at least to Mike Fratello. Have you considered doing color commentary?
Not at all. I'd rather coach and do color commentary.
So you're enjoying yourself in your retirement?
Yeah, my back's starting to feel better, so I'm getting some enjoyment out of it now. I come here and watch a few games, and I'm just happy for the way the team's performed throughout the year.
All right, Larry, it's always good to see you, and good luck to you in your retirement.
Thank you, Ahmad.
All right, back to you, Marv.
All right, thanks, Ahmad. The second quarter getting underway, and back come the Hornets on a 4-on-1. Curry for Wingate. So it's Charlotte by 1. Well, you're safe for a while, Zahar.
I mean, Ahmad tried every job possible to get me out of work. I don't understand what the deal is.
Did he cover sideline reporting? Joe Klein working against Sidney Green. Nice move. Joe Klein in his 8th year out of Arkansas. Man who comes on for Robert Parrish, able to hit the fadeaway, and it gives Boston a 1-point lead. Curry and Gill down in the backcourt. Pretty set up. Gatison will go to the line. Gatison up front along with Wingate. And Green, Alan Bristow buying some time, but he's getting set to reinsert Larry Johnson.
I'm sure that Chris Ford does not want the Boston Celtics to switch that pick and roll situation and wind up with Kevin McHale 25 feet from the basket and a much smaller player trying to play Gatison down low. They will make an adjustment on that.
Now, Kenny Gatison is a player that the Celtics don't mind seeing on the line. Only 60% free throw shooter. And he swishes the first one. Johnson is back. So it's Gatison, Johnson, and Green up front. Gatison last year was forced to play center at 6'8". He was the Hornets starting center most of the way. Terribly undersized. Took a beating, but he gave a tremendous effort. Gatison at 6'8", about 255 out of Old Dominion. Game tied at 26. Minute and a half gone by. Second quarter. Rick Fox trying to go to work on David Wingate, who was called for the block. Marv Albert with the czar of the telespread, Mike Fratello and Ahmad Rashad. From the Boston Garden, Game 2 of this best of 5. Game 1 Thursday night. Boston beat Charlotte 112 to 101. They will play game number 3 in Charlotte Monday night. Here's Kevin McHale, who came on just a moment ago. Nice ball, goes to the scoop.
Had a real interesting conversation with Kevin before the game. You know, he was talking about development of moves for Shaquille O'Neal. Talking about how he has to develop different ones, what'll work in playoffs, what won't work. And then, as Ahmad mentioned, he was feeling very good today. He said, I think I can play more than 20 minutes. My back feels the best it's felt in quite a while.
And Kevin has been a day-to-day situation because of the sore back. Fox given room. Yes. Boston leads by 4.
It's a different tempo, a different pace for Charlotte when Muggsy Bogues is out of the basketball game. He'll be back in shortly. You'll see them start to push the basketball again, get more easy baskets.
Gill posting up. Fox with the rebound.
See, everything right now is trying to come off the half-court offensive set where the Celtics can dig in. They've got a nice-sized front line out there. Joe Klein, Kevin McHale, X-Man who's physical. It's transition scores that Charlotte needs.
Larry Johnson moves it back. Charlotte opened the game. Hitting at shots, but had their problems in the latter portion of the first quarter. They finished 9 of 22 in the first quarter. David Wingate buries the jump shot. David Wingate has been a question mark because of a sore left knee. He has brought the Hornets within 2. McHale with the fadeaway. Klein on the back tap, and the Celtics get the new 24.
And the last half-court play that the Celtics ran was the high pick and roll that gave Charlotte so much difficulty in Game 1. The last time, Charlotte defended it very, very well. They got their rotations down the way they had practiced yesterday. They didn't make any change. They just want to do better what they had tried to do in Game 1.
Good play by Wingate, coming over to help out. He knocked it away. Last touch by the Hornets, and a timeout is called with 8:16 remaining. First half.
The most difficult play for Charlotte to stop in Game 1 was a high pick and roll. McHale will set the screen as Sherman Douglas tries to run his man off and get dribble penetration. As we let it run a little bit forward, we'll see where the defense stops right there. How do they want to play it? Well, they want to let the big man hedge out, let the defensive guard get over the top, and then be ready with the next man to come over and support so there's no penetration. Then everybody is supposed to recover to their own people. It works to perfection. Everybody gets back. The result, no easy score for the Celtics.
Substitutions by Alan Briscoe of Charlotte. Muggsy Bogues is back along with Alonzo Mourning. That's Brown firing with the shot clock down to 2, and Fox able to hustle to it. Mourning with the rebound. And here comes Bogues. Alonzo Mourning, who does have an outside touch.
That's what he did in Game 1 a number of times, was pull up in that high post area, foul line, top of the circle. Robert Parrish did not come out to get him, and he made a number of those 17-foot jumpers. Today, Parrish said, I have to pick him up earlier. That time he was left wide open. Parrish is not on the floor.
And Kevin McHale throws in his second field goal. Boston 32, Charlotte 30. Again, the matchup, Xavier McDaniel involved with Larry Johnson. Mourning guarded by Klein. McHale over to help, so Mourning is open. Wingate kept it alive. What a play by David Wingate, guiding it to Kenny Gatison. And the game is tied at 32. The Boston Celtics went 48-34 in the regular season, finished second in the Atlantic behind the New York Knicks, 4th seed in the Eastern Conference. Shot clock at 5. Fox stripped by Gatison. Fox able to recapture. And Jess Kersey with the whistle indicating the 24-second clock had to be reset and was not on the change of possession. And Boston will maintain possession.
You can see in your low left-hand corner the 24-second clock expires. Jess Kersey waving his arm, saying, wait a minute, that thing has to be reset. Give him a new 24. They have taken 2 seconds off that 24-second clock. They start play with 22 on the 24-second clock.
McHale got it to Fox, but he lost the grip. Alonzo Mourning has been controlling the board. 7 rebounds for Mourning. Larry Johnson telling us yesterday that teammates said he has to be more aggressive offensively. That time the low percentage pass was thrown away, but He's been facing the double team, and he's not a selfish player, so does not want to force, and he's had a difficult time in the first half. Reggie Lewis at Dunbar in Baltimore. Pretty good ball club. Also included Reggie Williams of the LA Clippers, coached by Bob Wade. The Dunbar High School Poets, and they posted a 50-0 record one particular season. Not a bad group.
Bob Wade went on to become the head coach at the University of Maryland.
Reggie Lewis, for those who may have just tuned in, is not with the Celtics today. He staggered, fell to the floor in game 1 on Thursday. He passed out. Spent the last 24 hours under observation at New England Baptist Hospital. Wingate on a fast break lead for Larry Johnson. Charlotte leads 34-32. And we're told all the tests came up negative, but for precautionary purposes, Reggie Lewis is sitting out the game today. So D. Brown in the starting lineup, and Brown has played well. He's hit 4 out of 7, 8 points. McHale operating against Gatison, and illegal defense called for the second time, so a technical foul will be awarded to Boston. Alan Bristow, the coach of the Hornets, walking it off. Alan Bristow began as director of basketball operations with the Charlotte Hornets after 7 seasons as an assistant and front office executive with the Denver Nuggets. Bristow, a star at Virginia Tech, a second-round draft pick of the 76ers back in 1973. A Denver connection on the sideline. Former Denver teammate Bill Hanslick and T.R. Dunn are the assistant coaches.
Good hit. That's a good hit. Good hit.
The X-Man. And it's rebounded by Mourning. Charlotte leads by 1. Gatison from Bowles. So Gatison has 5 points. Nice look by Muggsy Bogues.
We've seen more than once the first man down the middle of the floor for Charlotte is occupying the first defensive player. That happened to be Larry Johnson that time. It's the second trail that's coming down that they're finding for the scores. Earlier we saw that it was Mourning that scored. That time Gatison. Big men run the floor hard for the Hornets.
Kevin McHale converting his 3rd field goal. He has 6. Charlotte leads 36-35. Wingate off the crossover. Gatison had it knocked away. Here comes Gamble. Pursued by Wingate. Gamble all the way. And the basket will count. It's a goal kick.
Tremendous hustle that time by Alonzo Mourning to get back an even challenge, but if you're going to touch the ball when it's on the backboard, basket counts.
Celtics take a 1-point lead. Johnson was working hard for possession, played well, crowd wanted to travel. Here's Bogues. Rebound Gatison. What a job by Kenny Gatison. And Charlotte has taken a 1-point lead. Gatison off the bench for 7 points.
You know, we mentioned earlier that Del Curry was a much sought-after player from the Charlotte Hornets. Kenny Gatison, another player that a lot of teams have tried to trade for because he can rebound, block shots, and gives them size up front.
But at the other end, Kevin McHale has been able to take advantage. Bogues' pass intended for Gatison was deflected out by the Celtics.
Muggsy Bogues would have liked to have thrown a bounce pass that time, but instead he tried to go up over the top. D. Brown gets the hand up, a piece off the finger right there. As a result, the fans felt that it touched Gatison last, and in fact, they may have been right.
Crowd reacting to that call. Kendall Gill has checked back in. So Gill and Bogues now in the backcourt. Mourning up front with Gatison and Johnson. Mourning. Alonzo Mourning with 8 points, 8 rebounds. Charlotte leads by 1, and the Celtics want to talk it over. 3.5 remaining in this first half.
Kevin McHale has been trying to help out his teammates. He leaves Mourning alone a little bit too much that time as he tries to push out. Mourning steps right into the opening. McHale knows he makes a mistake. Chris Ford calls the quick timeout to make sure they get that defense straightened out.
This game has been close throughout. It's been tied on 10 occasions. We've had 9 lead changes. Charlotte 40, Boston 39, biggest lead, a margin of 4. Boston Celtics have been an up and down team this year. They lost 8 of their first 10. One stretch late in the season, they won 9 in a row. Then they lose 5 straight. They even lost 4 in a row here at home. They have been a very difficult club to figure. They opened with the impressive performance here on Thursday in Game 1. And right here, they're trailing by 1 as we wind down in the second quarter.
Coming up on the Prudential Halftime Report, we'll take you to Portland for an update on the status of the Blazers' Clyde Drexler, still nursing that sore hamstring that kept him out of Game 1 against San Antonio. And we'll hear from Clippers coach Larry Brown on what has been obviously a turbulent season. It's the first of 2 parts on the 2 Los Angeles teams. We'll have the Lakers story tomorrow. Right now, back to the Garden in Boston as we rejoin Marv Albert and Mike Fratello. Take it away, Marvelous.
All right, Bob and Czar, the NBA has certainly had its share of surprises in the early going of the playoffs. San Antonio winning in Portland. Phoenix losing to the Lakers. Knicks did not have an easy time last night against Indiana.
The Phoenix players even mentioned that in the last regular season game, the Lakers played them very, very tough before losing in the last minute. So why not an upset?
Shot clock is down to 3. 3:10 remaining in this first half. Charlotte 40 and Boston 39. Gamble. Yes. Celtics take a 1-point lead. And Kevin Gamble has shot well. He's 4 for 6, 10 points.
The key there, though, was the read by Xavier McDaniel. He noticed the defensive player had his back turned with the shot clock way down. He just lobbed it over the top. Gamble, eye contact, caught it, made the shot.
E. Brown calling out a play. Brown played by the 5'3" Muggsy Bogues, the shortest player in the league. Parrish puts the move on Mourning. Robert Parrish 1 for 3 to this point. Johnson setting up. McDaniel is complaining about the back-end move by Larry Johnson. Good defensive sequence here by the Celtics. Now the double on Johnson. Gill with the shot. Yes. Kendall Gill with his 3rd bucket. He has 7 points.
That's got to be a big plus for Charlotte. The fact that the Celtics played excellent half-court defense. Charlotte was not in its passing motion game. They were in a set play, and yet with a number of passes and the shot clock running down, they stayed in it. They didn't panic. They executed and paid off.
He feels it. Kevin Gamble goes to the fadeaway. 12 points for Gamble. He's the high man. And it's Boston with a 1-point lead. Minute 40 to go in this first half. Here's the double up. McHale over. Gatison. Called on Boston.
The one thing you can see is that the Celtics practiced yesterday anticipating that Charlotte would try to put the ball in Larry Johnson's hands a number of times. As soon as he gets it, the double teams are there. It's forcing Larry Johnson to look to be a passer first rather than a scorer's mentality. He touches the ball, there's the 2-team. He has to find an open teammate to be effective right now inside.
Gatison fouled by Robert Parrish. Misses the first of 2. He's only a 60% free throw shooter. El Curry is back. Curry and Gill now in the backcourt. Bogues will sit down. So Gatison way off. And a pushing foul against the Hornets. Foul on Mourning, his 2nd.
The hard work, the effort right there, but then the left arm shoves the Chief out of the way, the resulting foul.
Boston ball, they lead by 1. Celtics turning it around after the cold spell. They've hit 5 of their last 6 shots. And Gamble was pushed. Hit from behind by Kendall Gill. That is his 2nd. Charlotte is over the limit, so Gamble will go to the line. Kevin Gamble, a player who has come a long way. A third-round draft pick of the Portland Trailblazers back in '87. Bounced around, played in the Philippines, shuttled around the CBA, eventually signed with Boston as a free agent. And has emerged as a major player. He's the high man with 14 here this afternoon. Boston leads by 3 as we come up on 1 minute left in the first half. Curry off the pick. Rebounded by Parrish.
Got to be a number of coaches sitting home saying Del Curry never missed that shot during the regular season when he's that wide open, because he makes it with a hand in his face.
Gamble tries the 3. Parrish with the rebound. Neither club has hit a 3-point shot in game 1 or in this first half here today. Douglas with a force. Rebound Parrish. Boston with its biggest lead, a margin of 5. 20 seconds to go in the half.
And with only about 4 seconds difference between the shot clock and game clock, Charlotte will try to, I assume, keep it to the last shot.
Shot clock at 5. Out of 2. Johnson changes mind. It's a 24-second violation.
There's that unselfishness again of Larry Johnson, who I'm sure his teammates and coach felt he was going up with it. Instead, at the last minute, tried to drop it off, but no time left for the shot.
4 and 6/10 seconds remaining in the half. Crowd responding to the Celtic effort. 5-point Boston lead. They've scored the last 6 points. McDaniel for McHale. McDaniel looking for position. McDaniel now with the shot. So that is the end of the first half. Kevin Gamble leading the way. 5 for 8 from the field. 14 points in game 2 of this best of 5. It's the Celtics 47 and the Charlotte Hornets 42. Coming up in a moment, the Prudential halftime report. We'll go back to the studios for Bob and Quinn.
Celtics trying to go up 2-0 and leading the Hornets 47-42. Bob Costas back in New York. Quinn Buckner and Bill Walton will join me momentarily. The second game of our playoff doubleheader today is in Portland. The Spurs surprised the Blazers in the opening game on Thursday night. Portland needs this one badly, obviously, and the big question is whether Clyde Drexler will play for the Blazers. For an update, let's go to Dick Enberg and Magic Johnson. Dick?
Bob, I would suspect that Clyde Drexler may not be playing, because if a man has a bad hamstring, he'd be warming up right now, and we're 11 o'clock in the morning, an hour and a half from tip-off time. What's your thoughts?
Well, I think that you're right, because he should be out here loosening it up and getting ready for the game if he were going to play.
A man who really had a nightmarish game, the Cliff Robinson, who will be the sixth-man award winner in the NBA. His free throw percentage reflecting a dismal night for Portland that lost by 1 in game 1. Here's one of his 7 misses. This came in the final seconds. He had 2 chances to give Portland a 3-point lead, missed them both, the timeout, and San Antonio went on to win the game. Free throw shooting, he was 3 for 10 and 1 for 15 from the floor.
Well, he told us yesterday that he was uptight. He wasn't relaxed, and I think right now you'll see a strong Cliff Robinson come back and make a great effort.
All right, that's the story here. We wait for Clyde Drexler, and Portland must win today. Bob?
And when we come back, we'll take a look at the LA Clippers and their coach Larry Brown. That's next after a message from Prudential and a word from the NBA. Houston won the first game on Thursday night behind another terrific all-round performance by Hakeem Olajuwon. He had 9 blocked shots and in general was a terror on defense. He also led all scorers with 28, hitting 12 of 20 as he continued his season-long tear. Larry Brown's Clippers got within 4 at one point but lost by 23. Game 2 tonight is at the Summit in Houston, and with more on the Clippers, let's turn to Jim Lampley. Jim.
All right, thanks, Bob. As everyone knows, Los Angeles basketball fans are in no way accustomed to NBA mediocrity. Through most of their respective franchise histories, the Lakers have never been that bad, the Clippers have never been that good. But for the past 2 seasons, both teams have been transiting through the mediocre stage as the Clippers have sought to trade identities with their traditionally more uptown brethren. When Larry Brown took the Clippers to their first playoff trip in 17 years and almost knocked off the Jazz in the process, a landmark step was taken. A long, laughable franchise had momentarily captivated a city. The Clippers seemed poised to become LA's new marquee team. What a difference a year makes. This season, the team's star asked to be traded. Several players spend the year waiting to be sent elsewhere, their contracts about to run out. And through it all, the front office does what it has frequently been accused of doing in the past: nothing. That sends the coach through the roof. The team that was about to capture the heart of LA is surrounded by distractions, and the Clippers limp into the playoffs with a .500 record.
It was bound to affect everybody because, like you said, nobody focused on our basketball team. And for players even to say they were going to put it out of their minds, they were constantly reminded of it, and I think it hurt us. I think it hurt the players' performance. It hurt the way I interacted with some of the players. Until the trading deadline, I think most of those guys felt they were going to go somewhere else, and so it reflected on our play.
And after a whole season of talking 10 times as much about his contractual situation and his future as about his play, who is Danny Manning as a Clipper now?
Well, regardless of what people say about my relationship with him or how things have gone, one, I'm proud of what he's done. I'm thrilled he made the All-Star team, and I'm confident he's one of the better players in the NBA.
It's an evaluation based on experience. Brown's mentoring of Manning goes back to the University of Kansas, where they won the national championship together in 1988. Last year, when Brown was fired by San Antonio and hired by LA, it was assumed their long relationship would be a plus. But apparently it's been too long. In January, Manning suggested he might like to be traded, citing differences with Brown.
I don't necessarily want to leave. I just want to do what's best for me and my family in a business sense.
It's the business of basketball that plagues the Clippers. If left unsigned, 4 of their top players will be gone by the end of next season. The Clippers have scant months left in which to decide the future of a third of a roster and to try to chart a new course toward Los Angeles preeminence.
When I came here, all I asked management was an opportunity to coach players that I felt we had a chance to win with. And that if I couldn't do that, then it was on me. They could find another coach.
If there's a strong message that you want to get to the management about a player acquisition or something else that can be done with the team, are you satisfied at this point that you know exactly to whom to go and how to deliver the message to be sure that it gets across?
Absolutely. I think I got that cleared up after the trading deadline. I'm confident that everybody knows their responsibilities, and we all want to see the same thing, and that's to make the Clippers the best possible franchise it can be.
Regardless of who's on the roster for the Clippers next year, is there any doubt in your mind that Larry Brown will be the head coach?
No doubt. Now, I have an owner that's kind of funny. He's been through a lot of people, but he's been good to me, and this franchise has been good to me. I didn't have a job, and now I have one of 27 special jobs, and I want to see us win an NBA championship.
Well, as of this moment, the bad news for the Clippers is that they've now lost 5 straight to the Rockets this year, 15 straight in this building over the years. But Larry Brown can and will remind them that when Utah blew them out in the first game last year, they came back to win Game 2. It may be a slender thread, Robert, but it may be the only hope the Clippers have.
All right, thanks, Jim. Let's go to Bill Walton. You work a lot of Clippers games, did the game Thursday night when they lost Game 1 in Houston. What do you think?
A lot of problems for the Clippers right now. The players are unhappy with the coach. The coach is very unhappy with the players, and there's valid reasons for both positions. Another big problem for the Clippers is that they're playing with no pride, no fight, and no team spirit at all. Last year's draft, where they had 3 first-round picks, has produced nothing for them. In this immediate series with Houston going on right now, Ron Harper, out with the sore knee, probably will not be a factor the rest of the way. An even bigger and general problem with Houston in particular is that Houston's strengths, inside play, are the Clippers' weaknesses right now. More importantly, though, the Clippers have passed in the last couple of years on acquiring some key franchise players, Akeem Olajuwon, Charles Barkley, who were available. Those deals were nixed by the Clippers. The opportunity to acquire Dennis Rodman possibly this summer was passed on last year as well. Big problems for the Clippers. They're stuck, as Jim said, in mediocrity. Can't go up and can't get down.
Now, I don't want to pose as an expert here, but let me sum this up before we go to you, Quinn. Just by way of review, they've lost 5 straight games to the Rockets. Their strengths, says Bills, the Rockets, are all over the Clippers' weaknesses. The coach doesn't like the players don't like the coach. They're playing without heart or fire. They're down 1-0 in the series. I'd say that adds up to adios.
Well, I don't think there's any question about that. But I think more importantly, when you look at the team, what you've got to talk about is there's really no sense of a foundation there. And I think that's always been the feeling of anybody when you talk about the Clippers. Obviously, playing in L.A., where you have the Lakers, kind of takes away from that. But the facts are, I don't care what the team is, you've got to give guys reason to want to be a part of that team. And I don't think the Clippers have ever done that. And until they do that in that organization, I think they will struggle with getting respectability.
A dismal report on the Clippers prospects. Equal time is available should they apply for it. We'll send it back to the Boston Garden for the second half of the Celtics and Hornets. Boston leading it by 5. Marv Albert and Mike Fratello rejoining us after these messages from your local station.
This has been the Prudential Halftime Report, brought to you by the Prudential. Peace of mind. It comes with every piece of the rock.
The Hornets by 5 at halftime. Marv Albert, Mike Fratello, Ahmad, Rashad, and Mike, looking back at this first half, the Boston Celtics did a very effective job on Larry Johnson. The double team has changed his game.
When you think about the fact that Larry Johnson averages almost 17 shots per game during the regular season, here in the first half, only 3 out of 5 field goal attempts, 2 for 2 from the line. How'd they do it? By changing up on it. Every time he touches it, there's the first double team by D. Brown. Touch it again, here's the second double team coming, this time from a big guy. It's got Larry Johnson thinking pass first, shot second, and he needs to have a scorer's mentality.
3 of 5 for Johnson, only 8 points in the first half. As we take a look at today's Miller Genuine Draft halftime statistics, Charlotte 18 of 37, 49% from the field. Boston 21 of 47. Kevin Gamble 5 out of 8 leading the way. He's the high man with 14 points. And off the boards, Boston with the advantage, 25-18. Look at Robert Parrish, 8 rebounds, 3 on the offensive glass. Now let's go over to Ahmad, who is alongside Boston Celtic coach Chris Ford.
All right, thanks, Marv. Chris, you got to be happy with the play of some of your players. They've stepped it up, seeing it with the absence of Reggie Lewis.
Yeah, I think D. Brown and Kevin Gamble and Rick Fox did a great job out there. They really got a lot of loose balls. Kevin Gamble's hitting the open jump shot and running a lot of plays that we would normally run for Reggie, and Oscar's responding.
All right, good luck to you in the second half, Coach.
Thank you.
All right, thanks. Back to you, Marv.
All right, Kevin Gamble, known affectionately as Oscar for the one-time Major League Baseball player, Oscar Gamble. We'll be right back. We're set for the start of play in the third quarter. Well, D. Brown, 4 out of 7, 9 points. Kevin Gamble able to step up, and the Celtics needed this kind of offensive output with Reggie Lewis sidelined this afternoon.
Chris Ford said he would rotate 3 players, D. Brown, Kevin Gamble, and Rick Fox through that 2-guard position by Lewis being out. Think about game 1, only 6 shot attempts, 3 out of 6 for Kevin Gamble. Already here in game 2, he's 5 out of 8 in one half, so more shots coming his way. You're talking about a guy who's almost a 51% shooter. That's a plus for the Celtics.
And we got the whistle from Jess Kersey. Illegal defense called for the first time against Boston. Charlotte already hit with 2. Johnny Newman will inbound. Newman is up front along with Alonzo Mourning and Larry Johnson, Kendall Gill, and Muggsy Bogues in the backcourt. Alan Briscoe back to the starting lineup. Now Johnson putting the move on Abdul Nabi. Last touch by the Hornets.
Larry Johnson is not getting the kinds of shots he wants to. That time he was badly off balance, a hand up in his face. He thought that there was another defensive player on the way rotating over, so that one falls into the category of forced shots.
Larry Johnson, 3 of 6 for 8 points. He averaged 22 points during the regular season, along with 10 rebounds. At the other end, the Celtics are trying to occupy Johnson, but Abdelnaby lost it. Here's Bogues setting up Gill. Bogues, yes. So Muggsy with his second field goal. Boston leads by 3. Sherman Douglas handling against Muggsy Bogues. Douglas and Brown at the guards. Abdelnaby, Gamble, and Parrish up front. Again, Abdelnaby.
Making Larry Johnson work at both ends of the floor. Charlotte's making him work at the offensive end. Boston at the defensive end.
6 points for Ala Abdelnaby. Boston with a 5-point lead. Now Johnson through the foul.
Don't think that Kevin McHale hasn't had an effect on his teammates working after practice. There's the McHale. One-hand jump hook. Abdelnaby puts it down.
Abdelnaby was called for that foul. As Kevin McHale has been working with Ahmad, who has picked up some new moves over the course of the season. Gill with the recovery. And Kendall Gill able to knock down his 4th field goal. He has 9 points. Kendall Gill in his 3rd season out of Illinois. Finished strong over the last 5 games, all 5 won by Charlotte. Gill averaged better than 21 a game. Parrish. Rebound Parrish. Boston 51 and Charlotte 46.
In the first half alone, Boston came up with 11 offensive rebounds. They had 47 shot attempts to steal by Gamble. Charlotte has allowed more field goal attempts than any team in the NBA this year to their opponents. The Celtics taking advantage of this game.
Well, D. Brown was fouled. He'll go to the line. Newman called for the personal.
A little fade by Parrish, but Mourning turns his head to look at the ball. Parrish hustles right after it, and another offensive rebound, another 2 points for the Celtics.
39-year-old Robert Parrish, 6 points, 9 rebounds. D. Brown will shoot a pair.
Game 1, D. Brown 8 for 8 from the free throw line.
And D for the season at 79%. Both Boston and Charlotte, good free throw shooting teams. Celtics 4th in the league, and the Hornets number 5 in free throw shooting. Boston by 7. Johnson sets up Mourning, and Mourning was fouled.
You can see how they have Larry Johnson thinking about pass. One player, Parrish, who runs out on him to take away the jump shot. It forces Larry Johnson to put it on the floor with his left hand. As soon as he does that, he then meets the next player who meets him on the baseline. Parrish jumps out. He puts it down. Abdelnaby waits for him. They have him thinking pass first, shot much later on.
Douglas on the foul. Mourning to the line for the first time this afternoon. On the line 15 times in game 1. And he is number 5 in that department. 634 free throw attempts during the regular season. For the first round draft pick of the Charlotte Hornets, 2nd pick overall, behind a fellow by the name of Shaquille O'Neal. And Alonzo Mourning had a remarkable rookie season.
Would you say that he came out of Georgetown with somewhat the same reputation as Patrick Ewing, that he was not going to be a big-time scorer in the NBA?
Yes, a lot of similarities there. In fact, Mourning and Ewing have been very close friends off the court, working every summer, looking to improve their game. Foul is called. It's on Johnson, his first. And looking back at the rookie seasons of Patrick Ewing and Dikembe Mutombo, Patrick Ewing, though, was on a struggling ball club, as was Dikembe Mutombo. Mutombo started out very strong, you recall, and then had his problems in the second half of the season with the Denver Nuggets. Mourning has been solid right through. Harris with a solid start here in the 3rd quarter. He has 8 points in all, and Boston leads by 7.
Well, there were two reasons why Mutombo faded. One, they put the ball in his hands about 90% of the time. Everything was centered around him when he first came in the league. The second, the altitude got to him. He got tired in Denver.
That's what the Kempy pointed out. Larry Johnson able to hit his 4th field goal. He has 10 points. Boston leads 55-50. Able to rebound after that terrific effort by D. Brown. Johnson from Bogues. What a beautiful setup by Bogues, and words between Abdelnaby and Johnson.
Larry Johnson did not like the fact that he got shoved in the back going full speed, and his concern obviously is the injury that could have taken place if he winds up running into that stanchion full speed ahead. They're talking it out right there. I'm sure the words were that there was no intent to hurt anyone. Larry Johnson doesn't want a career ended by someone taking a deliberate foul against him. A lot of bodies, a lot of traffic, the sudden shuffle pass, and there from behind the push takes place by Abdelnaby. That's what Larry Johnson got upset about. Abdelnaby a little late getting there from behind, shoves Larry Johnson out of bounds.
Abdelnaby now sitting down, replaced by Xavier McDaniel.
Something about don't wake up those guys when they're kind of sleeping out there. Leave Larry Johnson alone. Don't get him too fired up.
Well, the Hornets off those free throws move within 3. Here's Brown. Yes. D. Brown has been on target. 13 points for Brown. Celtics by 5. 4 and change gone by. In the 3rd, now Johnson facing a double team, pumps it outside. Bogues for Mourning. And Mourning is fouled. Fouled by Xavier McDaniel.
Larry Johnson just told Muggsy Bogues, you're wide open, I'll keep getting you the ball. You got to be ready to shoot it from the outside to make the Celtics pay the price. Bogues, always looking to give it up to an open teammate, found Mourning in the lane that time.
Alonzo 2 of 2 from the line. He has 10 points in all. Earlier in the season, and we discussed this yesterday with Alonzo Mourning, who admitted he was a bit over anxious. And there was some questions about his shot selection, particularly the outside jumper. There were several games earlier against the Knicks where you had the idea he was trying to prove himself against his friend Patrick Ewing, but his shot selection has come a long way as the season has progressed.
It's a lot for a rookie to come into the NBA. First of all, come in late, miss all that practice time in training camp, so you begin behind the 8 ball, and then to try to read different looks from different defenses up against different defensive guys. The word early was that he wouldn't give the basketball up. You're trying to get this guy headed in one direction. Alan Bristol did a very good job of integrating him into their offense. You can't expect everything in the beginning.
Oh, beautifully done, but McDaniel missed the stuff. Douglas runs it down. Shot clock at 2. Gamble. Did he get it off? No, he did not. It's a 24-second violation.
The scrap, the hustle, the loose ball, Celtics come up with it, but the one dribble cost them on the 24-second violation.
You mentioned Mourning coming in late. He missed all of training camp because of a contract dispute, and then made great strides and had a superb first year. Xavier McDaniel is now 0 for 7 from the field. Boston with a 3-point lead. Charlotte trying to get back into the series, looking to tie it at 1. They head back to Charlotte for a game on Monday night. Mourning called for a travel.
Red Auerbach is up in the stands watching this game, and Charlotte just came down and showed the old 3-man weave to start their half-court offensive set. Had to bring a smile to Red Auerbach's face.
Timeout is called with 5 minutes gone by in the 3rd. Alonzo, is he bothered by all the attention that Shaquille has received?
My hat's off to him, and he's a great talent. He's going to get better, you know, but it's all about making everybody happy. That's the way I feel, you know, and I try to do what I can to make everybody happy. I've gotten, Player of the Month, things of that nature. But, I mean, I didn't do it by myself.
Whether you like Shaquille O'Neal or Alonzo Mourning as Rookie of the Year, the one thing I like about both of these young men, they had great things to say this past season, and it all was centered around team first, not individual accomplishments. Obviously, a solid background for both of them coming out of college. The things that they say are the things you like to hear team players say, which all helps in building a winner.
Johnny Newman was called for that foul. 6:45 to go in this third quarter. And it's Boston with the ball and a three-point lead. Marv Albert, Mike Fratello, and Ahmad Rashad from the Boston Garden. Gamble shot turned back by Newman. And here comes Bogues. Celtics get back as they have all afternoon. Loose ball foul, says Ron Garrison. It's against the Celtics. On Gamble, his first.
In game number one, Tyrone Bogues shot only 3 for 10 from the floor, but a couple of those baskets were those in-betweeners that came in transition. When he pushed the ball down, Douglas backed off intentionally and basically said, you're going to have to pull up and make that 13, 14-foot shot. He had it again right there, could not make the basket.
Celtics over the limit, so Johnny Newman on the line for two. Charlotte now 13 of 18 from the line. Boston is 7 of 7. It is a 2-point Celtic lead. It's been close throughout. At one stretch, Boston led by as many as 7. McDaniel 0 for 7 from the field. Banking with Johnson. And coming up short. Mourning had it knocked away. Mourning on the recovery. Bogues directs traffic. Finds the open man. Gill over it. Just lost the handle. Kendall Gill has had a very tough afternoon. Here is McDaniel. He tried to challenge Mourning. And it will be Charlotte ball. It's the second time that the X-Man tried to stuff. And the shot went astray.
The quick pass underneath. Gill just loses the handle as he goes up in an attempt to try and dunk the basketball. At the other end of the floor, two Feelers players challenge one another. McDaniel takes it at Mourning, but no result.
McDaniel is now 0 for 9. X-Man did not go for the head fake, but Douglas had it diagnosed, came up with a steal. Brown for Gamble. Brown on the back tap. And a foul is called on the Hornets.
That's a tough call because Tyrone Bogues, being only 5 feet 3 inches tall, actually D. Brown can jump over the top of him, and as the ball came off the rim, it looked like D had used his one hand to support himself on Bogues' back in an attempt to try and keep that ball alive. The officials felt it was on the box out.
Kevin McHale is back. Boston has missed its last 5 shots. Brown and Douglas in the backcourt. Parrish, McHale, McDaniel up front. McHale comes up high, trying to help. Douglas backing Bogues down. Douglas hits. A post-up move by Sherman Douglas to give the Celtics a 4-point advantage. Just under 5 minutes to go in the third. Douglas went down, crowd looking for a foul. Newman open. McHale with the rebound. Daniel guarded by Newman, who stole it. He stripped him. Good play by Johnny Newman. Kendall Gill. Yes. Boston 59. Charlotte 57.
You need to find ways to generate offense. One is come up with big defensive plays. The second one by Johnny Newman. Earlier a block shot. That time the deflection, which leads to the transition jumper by Gill.
Played by Johnson. That's a mismatch. Kevin McHale with several inches over Larry Johnson.
You could see the experience. He felt Johnson had overcommitted one way. He never hesitated, immediately turned to the lane and put the shot up on the rim.
Nice play, and Gill hits, and he's fouled. Robert Parrish with the foul, so Kendall Gill has come back strong, hit the jump shot, and now challenges Parrish, converts, and will go to the line.
Excellent interior passing by the Hornets, unselfish play. Newman gives it up, and then as Parrish tries for the rejection, the conversion that time by Kendall Gill. Actually, the Chief gets a little piece of it, but fouls with the other hand on the hip.
Third foul committed by Parrish. Abdul-Nabi has returned, replacing Xavier McDaniel, who has not been able to get into it. 1 point, Celtic lead. Pressure by the Hornets. Brown wasting little time, not a good shot. Charlotte with a chance to take the lead. Bowes, yes, and the Hornets lead 62-61.
Here's another one of those transition jump shots when the defensive man is backing off, basically saying to you, you're going to have to make it. Muggsy Bogues answers it with a score.
Timeout taken by the Celtics, 3:39 remaining in the third quarter. Muggsy Bogues converting from the outside, a 14-4 run by Charlotte. They have a 1-point lead. Larry Johnson to this point, 4 of 8, 12 points, but Xavier McDaniel had the good one on Thursday night as 0 for 9, 21 points for the X-Man in game 1 as he outplayed Larry Johnson, but McDaniel has not done it to this point. In fact, Chris Ford has lifted him and has gone back to Ala Abdul-Nabi. Charlotte leads 62-61, 3:25 remaining in the third quarter. Oh, what a rejection. Mourning soaring over for the block. And the call here is a foul on Sherman Douglas, who says no, it should be a tie-up.
Well, it started out with the anticipation Abdul-Nabi was going to turn to the baseline. The teammate, Mourning, comes over to help out his buddy, gets the block, and then it's a wild scramble for the loose ball. You had a number of different calls that could have happened there. Jump ball, personal foul, or a takedown.
Well, Alonzo Mourning, who's 4th in block shots, comes up with his 3rd of the game. And Bogues with the Celtics over the limit will shoot 2. Muggsy Bogues at 5'3", smallest player in the NBA. Spud Webb is 4 inches on it, as does Greg Grant of the Philadelphia 76ers.
One opportunity for Spud and for Greg. They go into the game to call for that post-up play.
Johnny Newman converts off the offensive board, and Charlotte leads 65-61. Charlotte in the midst of an 8-0 run, a terrific turn pulled off by the Hornets.
Working so hard to get the ball up the floor, Sherman Douglas, when he does get an open jumper, I'm not sure if he's going to have enough energy to put one down.
Good play by Gill, doubling up. 5 on the shot clock. 2:51 remaining in the third. Rick Fox over the scorer's table, now being waved on. Replacing Ala Abdul-Nabi. Let's go over to Ahmad.
Marv, coming out at halftime, looking at the Charlotte bench, these guys were all dead. Well, in the last 2 or 3 minutes, they have all come alive. I think they smell blood out here. They are really fired up.
Alonzo Mourning fired up with his 4th rejection. Newman coughed it up. Here's Douglas. Rebound Douglas. Knocked out of his hands. It'll be Celtic ball.
There are only 3 players in the league that blocked more shots during the regular season than Alonzo Mourning. That was Mr. Olajuwon, O'Neal, and Mutombo that finished ahead of him in block shots for the regular season.
Del Curry, who played only 7 minutes in the first half, has checked in. Curry still trying to find the range. Did not have a good one the other night. Parrish with that high arcing turnaround, and last touch by Fox. So the ball goes to Charlotte, and Alan Bristow now has a backcourt of Gill and Curry, Newman, Johnson, Mourning up front. Crowd trying to get the Celtics back into it. We come up on 2 minutes remaining. in the third quarter. Charlotte looking to tie this series at 1 and take it back to Charlotte on Monday night, even at 1 apiece. Johnson played by McHale. 5 of the 24. Larry Johnson with a beautiful move, beating Kevin McHale. 67-61. Charlotte has its biggest lead.
Let's go back to that point where Abdulnabi fouled Larry Johnson going to the basket on a fast break. It got Larry Johnson fired up. It got the Charlotte Hornets fired up. They have the lead.
McHale. Good penetration by Douglas, and then he kicked it out. Kevin McHale, 6 of 7, 12 points. Charlotte leads 67-63.
Again, Charlotte has taken the lead with Tyrone Bogues on the floor. Kendall Gill now, who knocks down the jump shot, has been put into the role of point guard. The pressure will not be the same defensively. It could produce more scores for Boston.
Again, Douglas penetrated. Again, Mourning got a piece of it. Another block by Alonzo Mourning. 1 minute to go. Third quarter. And Charlotte takes a timeout. The Hornets lead by 6. Larry Johnson showing some signs after a difficult first half. Look at this one-on-one move against Kevin McHale.
He feels that McHale will not have the foot speed to play him off the dribble, so he steps out away from the basket, faces up, and then takes him off the dribble. But the play that started this whole thing off back a few minutes ago in transition, the push there at the foul line by Abdulnabi, which almost knocked Larry Johnson into the support system, got Larry Johnson fired up and his teammates fired up.
So it's Charlotte by 6. A timeout has been called. We'll head back. Well, we were going to head back to the studios in New York. Instead, we'll stay right here. Coming up next, second half of our NBA doubleheader. As you look at the Western Conference bracket, Lakers surprising the Phoenix Suns last night. San Antonio coming from behind to beat Portland on Thursday night in Game 1. Seattle and Houston winning their first games. And coming up next, a matchup of the Western Conference rivals. David Robinson and his San Antonio Spurs will go up against the Portland Trailblazers. That'll be Game 2 of their opening round series. Dick Enberg and Magic Johnson on hand to bring it to you. The Spurs and the Blazers next right here on NBC. Charlotte in this third quarter with the 9 of 15 from the field, as opposed to Boston going 7 of 21, has outscored the Celtics 27-16 to surge to this 6-point advantage.
If there's one thing to note on Boston's behalf, at halftime they had held the second best, the second highest scoring team in the NBA, 110 points per game, second only behind Phoenix, to just 42 points in that first half. Outstanding defensive job by the Celtics. Now here in the second half, they have heated up those Charlotte Hornets.
Charlotte Hornets trying to win their first ever playoff game. A 44-38 regular season, earning 5th seed in the Eastern Conference. They finished strong. They won their last 5. They won 9 of their last 12. And hoping to even up this best-of-5 series at 1 game apiece. Larry Johnson had to force it, the shot clock running down, and it's a 24-second violation.
He didn't have time to try and beat McHale off the dribble. He knew he had to go up with a jump shot, and when you have Kevin McHale at 6 feet 11 inches with those long arms extending, trying to challenge shots, it's not easy to get a good look at the basket. That one fell way short.
Kenny Gatison, who played well in the first half, has checked back in. Gatison, 14 minutes at 3 of 4, did a nice job off the boards.
The Celtics will have time for a 2-for-1 if they want to. In other words, hurry up, get a quick shot now. You know Charlotte gets one back, but you get the final one, or they could elect to just run this 24-second clock down and then know that Charlotte probably will take the last one.
Douglas. Oh, what a play. Fox got inside, could not convert. Fox again. McHale with the tip. Kevin McHale has come up strong, 7 of 8, 14 points. And Boston is down by 4, 20 seconds to go, third quarter.
We talked about the long wingspan, the reach of McHale, defensively how it affects you. That time you saw the arm come up out of the pack and keep it alive on the rim.
Hornets hold for a final shot. That's time remaining. Third quarter, Gill checks the clock, down to 5. Here's Gill off the dribble. Kendall Gill rejected by Robert Parrish as the third quarter concludes. After 3 here in Boston, the Hornets lead by 4.
Sherman Douglas tries to dig in, but imagine trying to get a shot off between Kevin McHale and Robert Parrish. Not an easy look, and Gill was so deep that time, he had no one to pass out to.
The Charlotte Hornets coming from behind, and after 3, they lead 69-65. To the Boston Garden, it is on to the fourth quarter in Game 2 of this best-of-5 between the Boston Celtics and the Charlotte Hornets. Marv Albert, Mike Fratello, and Ahmad Rashad. The Hornets with a 27-18 edge in the third quarter. They now lead 69-65. Some pressure being shown by Charlotte as Fox handles. Now D. Brown, guarded by Kendall Gill. Kevin McHale setting up. Shot clock at 4. McHale puts the move on Gatison. Rebounded by Mourning.
Gatison had done a very good job initially of getting Kevin McHale off the deep low post position.
Gatison, McHale with the rebound. Just underway in the fourth. Parrish feeling for Mourning. Robert Parrish brings Boston within 2. Parrish has 10 points.
Just the opposite happened that time. Robert Parrish was allowed to catch the ball right on the low blocks. The result, 2 points.
Oh, David Wingate, I think, surprised that he had so much room, was looking for contact. Parrish, beautiful fake, and he drew the foul.
Celtics going right to the Chief, the oldest player in the NBA. They get him on that low block position. Not much effort that time by Mourning to keep him off there until it's too late. You let the Chief get that close, he's going to put it down. The next time, Mourning's gambling, he's going to go baseline, loses his defensive position. The up fake by Parrish draws the body contact.
For Mourning, his third foul. Muggsy Bogues returns. Kendall Gill will sit down. Gill leads with 16. Gill shot well in the third quarter. Robert Parrish is only a 68% free throw shooter. Hits 2 out of 2. And he's tied the game at 69. Mourning off the dribble was fouled. Fouled by Parrish.
In game number 1, Robert Parrish had 15 points, 9 rebounds. Mourning, 30 points and 11. Trying to take Parrish away from the basket so he can beat him off the dribble. He gets the step. Parrish fouls. So there was quite a difference there between those two players as far as point productivity in game 1. Here in game number 2, Parrish has 12 points, 10 rebounds. Mourning, 12 points, 12 rebounds. So it's basically a wash right now.
But the foul on Parrish is 4th. Mourning has 3. Curry fouled by Fox. Again, Del Curry not getting the screens, and he's had 4 shots. He's very fortunate right here as Rick Fox made contact.
Talking with the Charlotte staff prior to the game, they said that there was so much pressure on Del Curry in game number 1. He never really got a good look. Mostly through the efforts of D. Brown. Today they're rotating 3 players on him, but they said it didn't even look good coming out of Del Curry's hand. When you have great shooters, you can see it when it comes out. It's a good-looking shot. The coaches knew it didn't look right. It didn't go in for him.
And the last time these two clubs met here in Boston, a win for Charlotte back in March during the regular season. Del Curry was only 2 of 11. And a foul is called. So off the pressure, Curry picks up his second. and a half gone by in the fourth quarter. Rick Fox very close to a backcourt violation. Alan Bristow with a mild complaint. McHale battling for position. Kevin McHale, 8 of 10, 16 points. The game is tied at 71.
Here's the passing game. Swing the ball from side to side. Quick ball movement.
Del Curry hits from downtown. That is the first three-pointer that either Charlotte or Boston has been able to hit. Del Curry with a three. Charlotte leads 74-71.
It's such a quick trigger that Curry has on the shot. You cannot back off him. You must be up in his chest, forcing him to put it on the floor.
Well, Parrish going to the entire repertoire. And a loose ball foul is called. It's on Gatison. Alan Bristow very upset. Gatison called for the push. And a timeout has been taken with 9:29 remaining in the fourth.
Curry gets a good look, a quick release, bottom of the net for the three-pointer.
Genuine moments.
Today's Miller Moment takes us back to April the 21st. The Charlotte Hornets clinching their first ever playoff berth at home with a win over the Milwaukee Bucks. And the Hornets did celebrate. Nice moves. Win came a day before the 6th anniversary of the city of Charlotte being granted an NBA franchise. In recognition of this moment, Miller Genuine Draft will donate $1,000 to the Thurgood Marshall Scholarship Fund. Charlotte leading 74-71. Boston with the ball, 9:25 remaining in the game. Kevin McHale guarded by Kenny Gatison. D. Brown for three. Rick Fox on the rebound.
As happened in game one, Boston hurt Charlotte by rebounding from the guard position. That time Rick Fox, coming from the outside, comes up with the ball.
Muggsy Bogues knocked it away, it went out of bounds, so it will be Boston ball with 22 on the shot clock. Brown guarded by Bogues. Parrish stripped by Bogues.
One of the reasons why you want to keep the ball away from Tyrone Bogues, because he's so quick getting those hands in there.
Larry Johnson for Alonzo Mourning. And the foul is called. It's on D. Brown, his third.
Chief tries to put it down and split the defensive players. The problem is Tyrone Bogues is so small. He's right near the ground where the Chief put it down. He comes up with the basketball.
Celtics with their third team foul. Johnson up front with Gatison and Mourning. Bogues and Curry at the guard. Fox all over Curry. Here's Bogues. Yes. Tyrone Muggsy Bogues has hit 4 out of 7. He has 9 points. Charlotte leads by 5.
Excellent read of the double team. Swing the ball to the weak side, and most times it's going to be Bogues that they leave open to make the shot.
Parrish with the basket, and he was fouled. Foul committed by Gatison. Larry Bird enjoyed that move by his one-time teammate.
Kevin McHale a little bit too long, but Parrish gets up there before Mourning actually gets a chance to get to the ball. The conversion, the foul, the chance for the three-point play.
Charlotte 76, Boston 74. Xavier McDaniel is back. Curry on a quick release. Yes, so Del Curry has hit his last 2 from long range. 1 was a 3-pointer. Boston takes a 20-second timeout. Charlotte now leads by 4.
In transition, they set a late screen. They run Curry off, and that's why this 20-second timeout took place, because Chris Ford doesn't like the fact that no one stepped up to help. It doesn't take long for Del Curry to get it out of his hands.
Del Curry, originally drafted on the first round by Utah, played 1 year with the Jazz, a year with Cleveland. This is 5th season with Charlotte. And as you mentioned earlier, Mike, a guy who right around trade deadline garners much speculation. His name has popped up on a number of occasions.
Some teams want him as a starter. Other teams want him for what he gives the Charlotte team. Instant points, scoring off the bench. A guy who could stretch and extend defenses because of the range he has and how quickly he gets it off. So why give him up? Those guys are hard to find.
How about Kevin McHale? 9 of 12, 18 points. You'll recall earlier this season, Kevin McHale has been bothered by ankle problems, back difficulties right throughout. Very unhappy about the lack of playing time. Spoke out about it and then apologized to his coach, Chris Ford, because he went public regarding his dissatisfaction. 1 on the 24. Johnson hits. Larry Johnson with the shot clock running down. Hits from deep. Charlotte leads 80-76. 5 minutes gone by in the 4th quarter. McHale working at the same position. He's killing Gatison now. Same move by McHale. McHale has 20. Boston has come within 2. Now McHale jumps out on a switch.
It's because the word was given by Chris Ford. I don't care who takes him. Somebody get on Curry. Don't leave him alone.
Shot clock at 5. Curry. Mourning is fouled. The combination of Parrish and McHale. It's called on Parrish. That is his 5th.
Talk about Kevin McHale and the moves he has down low, giving a lesson first to the baseline to Gatison with the jump hook. You saw Ala Abdelnaby, who learned from him. And then the next time, shoulder in, let's turn a different way, get a look over the top. Same result, 2 points.
That's the question, and the woman with the answer is Hannah Storm in Portland. Hannah.
Hi, Bob. Well, the answer is yes. Clyde Drexler will play. He obviously has that strained left hamstring, which has kept him out for the better part of the last 3 weeks. As you mentioned, he did not play in Game 1, but he told me that he woke up this morning, assessed the injury. The hamstring was not sore or tender, and he has participated in 2 scrimmages this week, so he does feel that he can go. Dr. Bob Cook, the team doctor, told me that Clyde is about 85 to 90%. He will start in today's game, but we don't know if it'll be at the 2 spot or the 3 spot. Now let's go to Marv Albert in Boston.
Thank you, Hannah. And here at the Boston Garden, 6:38 remaining in the 4th quarter. And 80-78. Charlotte lead, and the older guys, Kevin McHale and Robert Parrish, have done the job. Kevin McHale with 20 points. Robert Parrish has 5 fouls, but he has 15 points, 11 rebounds, and off that 5th foul, Parrish sits down. Alonzo Mourning to the line. It's a 3-point Charlotte lead. Mourning is 5 out of 5. 13 points and 12 rebounds for Mourning. Here's Kendall Gill replacing Kenny Gatison.
So many times young people, rookies, come into the NBA and they struggle from the foul line. Alonzo Mourning, who you mentioned, has had a great year in points, rebounds, block shots, shooting over 78% from the free throw line. So tremendous ability to concentrate at the line for this youngster.
And the Charlotte Hornets as a team at 77%. That's among the top figures in the league. 82-78, Charlotte by 4 as they seek to tie the series at 1. Game number 3 in Charlotte on Monday night. Trevor Douglas being forced to work hard by Muggsy Bogues. McHale comes outside, and McHale goes inside, it counts, and the foul! Wait a moment, now the official officials are discussing it. And the basket does hold up, plus the foul.
Charlotte is trying to say that the foul took place while Kevin was dribbling the basketball. The officials had to decide if it was in the act of shooting or not. There is the strip, the hit, and the shot attempt. It's a good call by the officials. It is a continuation.
And Kevin McHale, with a three-point play, has matched his season high. 82-81. Charlotte with a one-point lead. 6 minutes remaining in the game. Mourning being played now by Fox. 5 on the shot clock. Down to 3. And McGill. Kevin McHale with the rebound.
Celtics defense that time up, taking away all the easy passes, then the great challenge on the jump shooter at the end. The kind of defense Chris Ford has been preaching all year. They've done an excellent job of playing defense.
Crowd responds as McHale begins to make the move. Kevin McHale has given Boston a one-point lead.
Well, but a veteran player like Kevin McHale who gets in a groove like this, you have to change up either who the player is that's playing or how you're going to attack him defensively. You cannot give him the same look.
They are on their feet. Standing ovation here in Boston. Bogues off the mark. Gamble rebounds. An inspirational effort by the 36-year-old Kevin McHale, who apparently still has some basketball left.
You saw Tyrone Bogues again, the open man who's being forced to take and make big shots for
McHale, he will go to the line.
Kevin McHale is the one who called this timeout for the Celtics. He's exhausted. He turned and looked. Larry Bird, standing ovation for his former teammate. McHale looked at Chris Ford, said, "Coach, I need a timeout," and he got it. McHale and learn how to play down in the post area. The conversion after the up and under move, the reaction from his teammate Larry Bird says, "Atta baby, Kev." And then on the near basket, when Kevin gets it up there, Mourning fighting for position, almost gets the roll. He's fouled. He goes to wipe his hands off, but says, "Hold on, I got to catch my breath. Hey, coach, give me a timeout."
And that foul on Mourning was his 5th. Boston leads by 2. McHale with a season high is 27 points. 13 have come here in the 4th. He has scored 13 of the Celtics' 20 fourth quarter points, and Boston has taken an 85-82 lead with 4:40 remaining in the game. Bogues, played by Douglas. They collapse on Mourning. Crowd wants a foul. Here's Muggsy Bogues, bringing it to a 1-point Boston lead.
Well, Bogues turned down the first jumper from the corner, and he cannot do that. He has got to make the Celtics defense pay. He knocked down the second opportunity from the foul line. But I wanted to mention, coming out of the timeout as McHale goes up and misses the inside shot, Kevin McHale looked across the floor at his former teammate Larry Bird. Bird gave him a signal like, "I like it, keep it going." McHale acknowledged him by pointing at him as if to say, "This is for you, Larry."
Xavier McDaniel called for his 3rd. Larry Johnson to the line. Here's Robert Parrish getting set to check back in. Parrish has 5 fouls. Stellar performance by Robert Parrish in the second half. He has 15 points, 11 rebounds in all.
At the airport, Marv, I notice a lot of times you get that cart to take you down to the gate that we're flying out of because of age and, fatigue. I'm wondering if the Celtics could use it to get Parrish and McHale up to the table when they want to report in because of this young Charlotte team trying to wear them out.
Meanwhile, here's Chris Ford very upset. He started to head out to the floor, and now in a discussion with Jess Kersey, I believe he was complaining about the extra substitution allowed to Charlotte. As they did some shuffling, Kenny Gatison has come on. Larry Johnson has tied the game at 85. We're just Coming up on 4 minutes remaining in this fourth quarter. The Celtics won game 1 on Thursday, trying to make it 2-0 in the series. Charlotte hoping to tie it at 1 apiece. Gamble. And the rebound is deflected out. Last touch by Boston.
And the reaction from the crowd, they feel that not only 1 but 2 of the Hornets may have touched the basketball. Officials saw it the other way. My concern right now is Kevin McHale has had such a great run here in the second half for Boston and has not had a chance to regroup. Do you take him out right now with 3.5 remaining, or will he have run out of gas here in the stretch run?
Oh, strong move by Larry Johnson. And it's Charlotte 87 and Boston 85. Johnson has 19. 3:25 remaining in the game. Now McHale operating against Gatison. Shot clock at 4. Parrish. The game is tied at 87.
That's just what Kevin McHale needed, was for Robert Parrish to come off the bench, have some wind, and then be able to go to him. McHale right now is breathing very hard. He needs a substitution.
Gatison not able to hit. Gatison gets it back out, and Holtz tries to settle it down as they reset. Charlotte has 5 timeouts remaining. They have 4 in their 20. Boston with only 1, and Gill's pass once again goes off the mark.
Larry Johnson feels that because McHale might be a little bit tired, he's going to be able to go right at him and take him off and into the hoop. And then Robert Parrish, when help is needed, winds up coming into the game and supplying just what the Celtics and McHale need, 2 points.
So Kevin McHale with 27 points on 12 of 16 from the field and a bit winded. 2:20 remaining fourth quarter. Gamble's pass could not be handled.
Gamble got up in the air with nowhere to go. Instead of someone stepping up to challenge him, basically Charlotte backed off at the last minute, took away his interior passing lane. He did not have a good look at the rim for a shot. He was thinking pass, instead the turnover.
Kevin McHale played 26 minutes. And the Celtics able to recapture. Here's Gamble. Yes.
And that's exactly the guy the ball should have gone to, because it was Kevin Gamble that got down on the floor and saved that possession for the Celtics. It would have been Charlotte's ball. Gamble knocked it free. Gamble hits the jumper to put him ahead.
A very emotional performance by the Boston Celtics. And Larry Bird responds to the shot by Kevin Gamble, who now has 16 points. Kevin McHale winds down his Hall of Fame career. This will be one of his signature games because of the dramatic implications. He's been a forgotten man in this, his 13th season, but he's come off the bench here this afternoon for 27 points. 13 of the 27 in the fourth quarter. Charlotte with the ball. They now trail by 2. Minute and a half remaining in the fourth. Larry Johnson with 5 on the shot clock. Draws the double team. Down to 2. Down to 1. Gill. Yes! Oh, a clutch shot by Kendall Gill. As the shot clock was down at 1, and he's tied it at 89. Minute 15 remaining in the fourth. Here comes Kevin McHale. McHale getting set to report in. 10 on the 24. McDaniel can't find the shot. Rebound is handled by Gill. Xavier McDaniel is 0 for 10. We're under 1 minute to go. In the fourth quarter, the game tied at 89. Larry Johnson had it knocked away. Gatison was stopped by Parrish. Here's Mourning. He goes down, and he draws the foul.
What had happened was, from the beginning of that play, Xavier McDaniel had turned his head towards the bench as either a teammate or coaches were yelling out instructions. When he turned his head, the player that he was guarding takes him off the dribble. McDaniel very lucky to strip him at the last second. But a second back, with 1 second remaining, Gill goes up, down 2 points, and hits the jumper as time expires. There is where Xavier McDaniel had turned his head. Larry Johnson went by him. Fortunately, the strip prevents the initial layup.
Mourning 6 for 6 from the line. 78% free throw shooter. And Charlotte leads by 1. The foul on McDaniel, his 4th. So the foul situation, Parrish with 5. McDaniel 4. Mourning has 4. 41 seconds remaining. 4th quarter. Alonzo Mourning coolly hits the 2. Charlotte leads 91. 89, 35 seconds remaining. 4th quarter. McHale for Douglas. McDaniel to the spin. Yes! That is his first field goal. He missed his first 10. And the game is tied at 91. Larry Johnson checking to see if Alan Bristow wanted a timeout. Bristow said no. 10 seconds remaining in regulation. Here is Johnson to the fadeaway. Rebound McHale. They call for time with 4 and 3/10 seconds to go. Timeout taken by Boston. It's their final timeout.
I thought that Charlotte was going to take a timeout to regroup, so they made sure. For the Celtics, they got the ball in this guy's hands, Xavier McDaniel, who has produced so many times in playoff games. That time, the biggest shot of the game for X-Men and the Celtics. Ball to Larry Johnson. When he catches it, he motions to the bench. Do you want a timeout? They say no. Keep the ball and run the play. It might have been an opportune time for them to set something up so they get a good shot. But at the same time, you do not allow the Celtics to regroup their defense. So it's different coaching philosophies. If they would have scored on that, it would have been the right thing. They did not get a good shot at the basket. So now the ball will be turned over to the Celtics for the last opportunity.
And now Bristow does take a timeout for defensive purposes, checking out how the Celtics would line up. Boston does not have any timeouts remaining. So we'll take another break. Game tied at 91. 4 and 3/10 seconds remaining in regulation. The Hornets and the Celtics are tied at 91. Timeouts remaining. Hornets have a full and a 20. Boston does not have any, so they must get the ball inbounds. Xavier McDaniel tying the game a moment ago with that baseline jump shot. Xavier was 0 for 10 at that time, but took the spinning jumper and hit it. How about this guy, Kevin McHale, with 27 points to help bring the Celtics back in the 4th quarter.
You would think that the go-to guys are either going to be Xavier McDaniel, who just hit the big shot for him, or Kevin McHale, who's had such a tremendous afternoon. But if you go back 2 weeks ago, the guy that won it for the Celtics in New Jersey was Sherman Douglas with a drive down the lane, fadeaway off-balance jumper that went in at the buzzer to win it for the Boston Celtics. So take your pick who's going to take the last shot for the Celtics.
Gamble will throw in. McHale, Parrish, Gamble, Douglas and Brown on the floor. It's Brown who was open, but could not convert. Parrish, time runs out.
The Celtics executed a beautiful back pick lob pass from the side out of bounds, and D. Brown was wide open. From the side out of bounds, the basketball is up, taken out here. You're going to get a back pick from McHale and then a change of direction, a lob to the rim. It's wide open for no switch that time. D. Brown up, the pass was just a little bit too high for him to convert.
And we are headed to overtime, tied at 91.
Kevin McHale was arguing. Chris Ford knows it's wide open. He sees it. The complaint is, and Kevin McHale argued, they think there was time left for the Celtics to take it out on the baseline still.
So we go to a 5-minute overtime session. We'll be right back.
Now at 3:44 Eastern Time, scheduled tip-off Game 2. The Spurs and the Trailblazers. San Antonio won Game 1 on Thursday night in Portland to seize the advantage in the series. Portland played without Clyde Drexler, out with a strained left hamstring, but it was announced moments ago that he will start in today's game. How long he can go, we'll have to see. We go now back to Marv and Mike for overtime at Boston Garden.
Thank you, Bob. Charlotte has been perfect in overtime during the regular season. 3-0 in overtime games. Boston has won 2 out of 3. Celtics and the Hornets tied at 91. Robert Parrish, Alonzo Mourning will go on the opening tip, both playing with 5 fouls. Parrish, Gamble, McHale up front. McDaniel is back on along with Douglas. Charlotte controlling. Bogues and Gill in the backcourt. They go right to Mourning, and Charlotte leads 93-91.
Alonzo Mourning even learned a lesson from Kevin McHale. He said, let me try one of these hook shots and see if it's working for him.
18 points for Alonzo, along with 13 rebounds. Parrish to the fadeaway. The game is tied at 93. Charlotte front line of Mourning, Gatison and Johnson. Bogues and Gill at the guards. Kendall Gill, Alonzo Mourning from deep. McDaniel for Parrish. 1 minute gone by in overtime. Gatison with a save. Nice play by Ken Gatison. Bogues from Mourning. Couldn't take advantage of the mismatch. Rebound, Gamble. Kind of a frantic start to this overtime.
Everybody trying a little bit too hard to get the jump on the other team at the beginning of overtime.
Celtics and Hornets tied at 93. Douglas looking for the pick and roll. Gatison staying with McHale. Now tries the other side. 1 on the 24. Gamble waved off. Will not count. 24-second violation.
Sherman Douglas is passing up open shots the same way as Tyrone Bogues was. He has got to shoot that one with the shot clock running down. Instead of taking the shot, he tries to fire it inside. You can see that it's on the 0 before the ball is released.
Johnson battling for possession with McDaniel. Backs him in. And then threw it out, did not have the shot. Bolt just did get it off and deflected out by Gamble. No argument from Kevin Gamble.
The Celtics did a very good job of stopping the Charlotte Hornets attack. Tyrone Bogues just throws one up on the rim because he's trying to avoid the 24-second violation. They're fortunate that the ball was deflected out of bounds by the Celtics.
Alan Bristow looking for some more offense, sending on Del Curry, replacing Kenny Gatison. Just under 3 minutes to go in the 5-minute overtime. The game is tied at 93. Curry with the ball. Johnson, played by McHale, goes right at him. Hands to Mourning. Bogues saving from the backcourt. 3 on the shot clock. Here's Bogues. Yes! Oh, what a shot! He got it up over the 7-foot Robert Parrish. Muggsy Bogues hitting the floater with the shot clock running down to give the Hornets a 2-point lead.
Bogues actually saves the ball with 4 seconds remaining on the 24-second clock. Now he's got to get from half court into the lane and try and get a shot. He goes around Sherman Douglas. The Chief is running at him, but just gets it up over the top of Robert Parrish's outstretched hand.
13 points along with 8 assists for the 5'3" Tyrone Muggsy Bogues in this opening round. Lakers knocking off Phoenix last night. Indiana coming from behind. They gave the Knicks trouble down the stretch. Knicks able to hold on. Charlotte trying to tie this series at 1-1. They lead 95-93. We are in overtime with 2 minutes and 20 seconds remaining. Boston with the ball. They are down by 2. Xavier McDaniel. Oh, nice fake. He drew the foul. Larry Johnson called for his second.
At the offensive end, the ball has been going into Larry Johnson's hands. The Celtics feel if they can make him work hard at the defensive end of the floor, perhaps it will cut into the effectiveness of Charlotte at the offensive end.
McDaniel, 79% foul shooter. Celtics have hit 13 for 13 from the line. So the Charlotte lead is 1. Boston always among the leaders in this department, number 4 this season. Charlotte is number 5. The Celtics today without Reggie Lewis. Reggie staggered and fell down in the early moments of game 1 on Thursday. Turned out he fainted. Taken to the hospital for observation. He spent the last 24 hours at the hospital. It was decided that he would be better off sitting it out this afternoon. He may return for game 3. He's being called day to day. Game is tied at 95. Shot clock down to 5. Down to 3. Here is Mourning. And McHale gets to it.
Marv, you mentioned a moment ago that the Celtics always have been an outstanding free throw shooting team. The problem this year is they don't get to the free throw line a lot. They're right at the bottom of the NBA in number of free throws attempted. In this game, 29-15 in favor of Charlotte as far as free throws shot.
Shot clock down to 1. A minute 15 remaining in overtime. Charlotte and Boston tied at 95, and a 20-second timeout is called by the Hornets.
This time, Alan Bristow has decided with the basketball in possession and a tie score, he's not going to take any chances. He's taking the timeout. He's going to set up a play that the team can execute so everyone has confidence in what they're trying to do.
You pop out. You pop out.
During the course of the regular season, the Celtics beat the Hornets in 3 out of 4. However, Charlotte did win here in Boston in the last meeting in mid-March. Overall, Boston has won 18 of 21 against Charlotte in the 5-year history of this franchise, and they have won 10 of 11 here in Boston. The Hornets with 17 on the shot clock. We're coming up on a minute to go in overtime. Larry Johnson showing quickness, whipping around McHale to give the Hornets a 97-95 lead.
Chris Ford tells his team, come right back down and let's try and attack without letting Charlotte set up their defense. They're trying to go McHale against Larry Johnson.
McHale. Last touch by Curry.
Now Chris Ford will take the timeout to set up a play from out of bounds underneath with 7 seconds remaining on the 24-second clock. What did Alan Bristow set up in their timeout? It was to get the ball down low to Larry Johnson. And Larry, don't wait and try and back him down. Make a quick move on McHale. It pays off with 2 points.
Timeout called with 49 and 8/10 seconds to go in OT. As many as 7. Charlotte also led by 7. Kevin McHale providing inspiration with a fourth-quarter run that helped to bring the Celtics back. McHale has scored 27. That is a season high. McHale, 12 of 17 from the field. Robert Parrish has 19 points. Kevin Gamble has 16. Charlotte led by Larry Johnson with 21. Alonzo Mourning and Kendall Gill each have 18. 7 on the shot clock as Gamble inbounds. Down to 5. Here's D. Brown. And the call is last touched by the Celtics. It will be Charlotte ball. They lead by 2 with 45 seconds remaining in this overtime session.
So if you're the Boston Celtics right now, what you're doing is you're saying you want to dig in, you want to get a stop defensively, and then there still is plenty of time remaining to come down and get a good shot and either tie or try and win this thing. But the first thing is dig in defensively and stop them.
Johnson played by McHale. Here's Curry. Douglas gets to it on the back tap. Boston with an opportunity to tie. Boston has 1 timeout remaining. Charlotte with 3.
Sherman Douglas didn't really get a chance to look at Chris Ford, so they're making this play up on the fly.
Gamble for 3. Parrish with the rebound off the fake. McHale fires. Yes! He's tied the game at 97. 6 seconds remaining in overtime, and Charlotte calls for time.
You could see Sherman Douglas run over to Chris Ford as they were coming off the floor just then and asking Chris Ford, look, I didn't hear what you said. We just tried to get it into something so we got a shot. But it was the 2 old-timers, Parrish, who takes the first shot and misses, but McHale, the long arms, the reach, over the top of Larry Johnson, the extra effort, and then the 2 points. And you think his former teammate Larry Bird liked it? Just keep it alive. Yeah, it's good. To look at it, if you're Charlotte, you might want to put the ball in the hands of Tyrone Bogues with 6 seconds remaining. That's like giving Boguesy 12 seconds to dribble penetrate. Boston has no one that can really play him off the dribble, so you let him break down the defense. There's time. He's your main go-to guy. It'll be interesting to see which way they go. Get it to Bogues or go to the main man, Larry Johnson, initially.
Charlotte does have 2 timeouts remaining. Boston with 1. 6 seconds to go in overtime. Game tied at 97. Gill, played by Brown, and a foul call.
Boston had a foul to give. That's okay. What they did is they used up time off the game clock. They brought it down now under 3 seconds. Now Charlotte will have to take it back out again.
2 6/10 seconds remaining, so that stopped the sequence. Good foul given by D. Brown. Kevin McHale is back now, providing the effect on the inbounds, trying to make it difficult for Gill to get it in.
They don't want to throw it from sideline right into the post, which that's what they're doing.
Here's Johnson with the shot. And we go to a second overtime. Larry Johnson had the opportunity to win it.
McHale is on the ball so that Charlotte doesn't get a good look into the postman. As soon as Charlotte spreads, it goes directly from the side out into Larry Johnson, who gets a wide open look. Parrish with the stretch, the challenge. Is it in? No, it's back of the rim. We go into the next overtime.
So Larry Johnson not able to hit. The score tied at 97. Gatison set the pick. Here's Gill. Trying to go past Parrish, rebound. 1 minute gone by in the second overtime. Boston with the ball. They are down by 2. Douglas in traffic, saved by McDaniel. Shot clock at 1. McDaniel had it knocked away. Parrish retrieves. Parrish off the fake. Rebound Mourning.
The Celtics aren't going to get many better shot opportunities than those last 3.
There will be a host of players who will sleep very well tonight.
Easy there, easy there.
A lot of minutes being logged at both ends.
Imagine the coach coming in saying, guys, we're going to practice tomorrow morning.
Gill rejected by Brown. And a foul is called on Gill. That was the reaction of Kendall Gill to the block by D. Brown.
Also, Kendall Gill trying to stop what he thought was going to be an uncontested fast break score for the Celtics, commits the foul. D. Brown did this in game 1, got up and blocked one of Kendall Gill's shots. After he blocks this one,
For stats, Elliott Cal passing on word that the Celtics have won. Look out, Sherman Douglas got hit. Crowd wants a flagrant foul.
The high pick and roll, which was the problem play for Charlotte, the foul that time on Alonzo Mourning, which is number 6, and Mourning is out of the game. That play, the high pick and roll, is something that Alan Bristow and his staff spent a lot of time yesterday talking about. They've done an excellent job up to this point of stopping Boston, taking him out of it.
So Alonzo Mourning has fouled out. Leads with 18 points and 14 rebounds. Sherman Douglas took a shot. He's shaken up. Out, 5 on Parrish, 4 on McDaniel, and 4 on Brown. Started to say the Celtics have won their last 5 overtime games in the playoffs. The last overtime loss in playoff competition back in the '74 finals. They lost Game 6 in OT to the Milwaukee Bucks. Charlotte leads by 2. It's Gatison against McHale now. Douglas rebounded by Gatison. Sidney Green came on for Alonzo Mourning, and he'll match with Robert Parrish. A timeout is called with 2:48 to go in this second overtime. And at the conclusion of this one, well, it is period number 6, so to speak. Second overtime. Alonzo Mourning fouled out just a moment ago. Charlotte holding on to a 99-97 lead. 2:48 remaining in the second overtime. Boston has 2 timeouts left. Charlotte has 3. It is Charlotte ball. Boston has been able to hang in because of the job they've done off the boards and at the foul line, where they have been perfect. They have not shot well at 40%. Charlotte at 48. Kendall Gill rebounded by Robert Parrish. Parrish playing with 5 fouls. Chris Ford wants the Celtics to push it down to the hurl.
You mentioned the 23 offensive rebounds, and earlier we had mentioned that Charlotte has given up more shot attempts to their opponents than any team in the NBA this season. For the Celtics, that was shot number 103 for this basketball game.
But, as I mentioned, they have shot only 40%. So the large number of shots do not have any meaning unless you are hitting. And Boston is 0 for 4 in the second overtime. Johnson posting up. Shot clock at 3. Gill trying to go glass. Parrish with the rebound. That is his 15th rebound. And again, the Celtics with a chance to tie with just under 2 minutes to go in the second overtime. D. Brown, played by Kendall Gill. Larry Johnson now involved with Kevin McHale. McHale will go to the line. The foul committed by Gill.
There's another way of looking at that 103, 104 shot attempts. If you're the coach that is coaching a team that's shooting only 40%, you tell your team, all right, we're having a bad afternoon shooting the basketball, but because you're working so hard, getting us so many more shots at the basket.
McHale 3 of 3 from the line. Charlotte maintaining the 2-point lead. A minute 38 to go in the second overtime. That's the first free throw miss by the Celtics. They hit their first 15. The Celtics trail by 1. 30 points for McHale, a season high. Minute and a half to go in the second overtime. Johnson guarded by McHale. Johnson. And Douglas takes for the Celtics.
Kevin McHale was cheering harder than anyone for Sherman Douglas to go get that basketball because he was in cement. There was no way that Kevin could chase it down in the corner.
Boston calls for time, so they have 1 timeout remaining. We'll be right back. The 36-year-old Kevin McHale, 39-year-old Robert Parrish have accounted for 49 of the Celtics' 98 points this afternoon.
Kevin McHale has played 31 minutes this afternoon. He has gone 40 minutes only 1 time this entire season. He has gone 30 or more minutes only 13 times this season. So guess he should be a little bit tight.
Correction on the timeouts. Boston, as you just saw, with 2 left. Charlotte with 2 left. 1 point, Charlotte lead. We come up on 1 minute remaining in the second overtime. Shot clock at 5. Brown with an open shot. Brown missing the last couple. He's had the chances, had good shots.
Those are shots that normally Reggie Lewis would be taking for this Celtic team, but at the same time, if Reggie Lewis were here, they may not be doubling off and leave him wide open.
Brown started hot, but has not been able to hit. Gill for Gatison. Kept alive by Gatison. And Charlotte with a new 24. They lead by 1. 15 out of 24, 19 remaining in the second overtime.
I don't know if they can let this shot clock run down. You may have to go after him right now and commit the foul. Otherwise, it's only going to be about 3 seconds differential.
Here's Johnson. Gill, 1 on the 24. Gill fires. Rebound Parrish. And the Celtics with 2 seconds remaining in the second overtime call for time.
They gambled that time on the Celtics' part. They dug in, played solid defense, did not let the foul immediately, so now they have 2 seconds remaining. The battle, the scramble for the ball, and off the fingertips that time, out of bounds. The save at the last second gives Charlotte the ball back.
We'll take a break. 2 seconds remaining in the second overtime. We'll be back in Boston in a moment. Converted in the second overtime. Charlotte 1 of 8. Boston 0 for 4. 2 seconds to go. Gamble will throw in from center court. 2 seconds left in the second overtime. Wingate guarding on the inbound. Boston does have a timeout left, and they use it. So they use their final timeout. Gamble averting a 5-second call, and now the Celtics will regroup.
The play that you would like to be able to use in this situation, Boston had already used earlier in the game when they threw that lob pass from the side out to D. Brown, almost converted. The pass was just a little bit too long, a little bit too high, but the execution was perfect. Now, with just 2 seconds remaining, you put a tremendous amount of pressure on yourself to first of all be able to make a pass and then even get any type of shot off. I'm sure right now that Alan Bristow is telling him so that they cannot get the lob pass. Also, you want to be careful that it doesn't go from the side out straight into the post to Kevin McHale for the quick jump hook.
And following the conclusion of the Celtics and the Hornets, we will switch to Portland, San Antonio. In Portland, Portland is up by 3 final seconds of the first quarter. And that is coming up next. The San Antonio Spurs and the Portland Trailblazers in Game 2 of their opening round series. Charlotte Hornets with a 99-98 lead on the Boston Celtics. The high man of the game, Kevin McHale, 30 points. Charlotte led by Larry Johnson with 23. Alonzo Mourning, who fouled out at 18. Kendall Gill with 18. Muggsy Bogues with 13 points. So now Rick Fox will be the trigger man. He will look to throw in.
A big man on the ball, Mike Jaminski, so you don't give Fox a good look. He cannot move on that sideline or it's a violation.
Jaminski had not played at all today. Here's Fox. It's Brown again from 3, and that will wrap it. D. Brown finishes 1 for his last 10 after the good start. And in double overtime, the Charlotte Hornets with their first ever playoff victory. They have defeated Marv Albert with Mike Fratello and Ahmad Rashad saying so long from Boston. In double overtime, it's the Hornets by 1.